Hello, welcome everybody to our new show, the autumn season opener by Burkhard, the Swiss artist I am representing the longest in my career, 29 years. Very fruitful collaboration. We are here in a show with his new body of works, which is entitled Konkrete Aquarelle, the German title. Translated into English, it would be concrete watercolors, but Burkhard dislikes the translation at this point and thinks that the German title is much more beautiful. Now you find me in one of our two street front spaces in front of the major piece of the entire show, next to me here, which is by far the largest of all the ones Burkhard has produced for the show. All of these works are entitled haikus, and the connection is of course to the Japanese form of writing in 3 lines only. Here these are not 3 lines but 3 layers, which nobody really detects immediately, because you would think when you look at such a complex constructed and painted painting that there are many more layers than only 3. But actually Burkhard produces a grid onto the first primed MDF board, and then he paints the remaining plates, and this continues 2 times, and through using a very thinned acrylic paint he is able to produce new colors which are constructed through the layering onto the surface of the painting. So it's very experimental for him and also for us, very entertaining to look at, as there are that many different colors becoming vital for the entire impression we have of the painting. On the other wall, on the right-hand side, there is another one of his paintings in the same size you have seen in our first take, but with a completely different type of layout or constructed grid. This is kind of the most complex one of all of the paintings we are showing here in the gallery. Now you find me next to 2 other paintings which are installed across the very large painting which you have seen in the take before. These 2 are executed on MDF again, but these ones are shortly executed before the entire work group of the haikus, and they are also not entitled haikus, but they are much more about the deaths, and again using the layering to produce deaths and to produce this feeling of a wide space which you only see a part of. And this can either be executed by Burkhard as a painting, or on the other side as a wall sculpture, which you see here. And this wall sculpture, which is kind of more connected what we know about previous work groups by Burkhard, has a very special title which is called Offset, and this is because all the matching lines of the crisscross do not really match but are offset. Now it's the very first time that you find me sitting in one of our tours. It's kind of a beloved place of mine where I often sit with collectors and curators and can discuss details and issues. And you find me underneath a spatial sketch, which is another work group by Burkhard, and this is one of 3 works we have of these in the show, and here the connection is very close to the offset sculpture wall sculpture you've seen before, and also connected to earlier work groups by Beat you might recall from earlier times. Now we are in our entrance space in the middle of our guided tour through Beat's show, and I'm standing next to a very playful sculpture by Beat, which is entitled Würfelspiel, or in English, Game of Dice. And of course you see that the squares you see used of wooden blocks for this sculpture are connected to the haiku paintings, which you see one of next to me on the other side. And this sculpture has a sister piece which is currently shown in a show in Museum Ritter in southern Germany, and which is also part of the collection of this museum. Opposite, on the other side, across the space, you find another offset sculpture, a lot larger than the one on the other space you've seen before. And here we do have the open edges, whereas in the other piece they had been closed as a regular painting, or like being framed. Next to this sculpture on the right-hand side is a very beautiful pair of two paintings. Again, these are haikus, and they are installed as a pair here, but they come individually and are really floating in front of the wall because the MDF board has been welded 45 degrees. Here you find another very beautiful pair of the free-floating haiku paintings on MDF board in another space of the gallery. Here in the alley which leads to our former office backspace, which is now another exhibition space, you find 4 paintings, again haikus, on board, and this is the smallest size they come, leading to a larger and vertical orientated haiku painting, which is on board again, but framed behind glass, as Beat Zoderer likes the reflection in front of the haiku painting as a different type of sensation very much. So please take the chance and ask for any help we might provide in explaining more details of the paintings and of course the availability. And in person you have the possibility to see the show here in the gallery until November 1. Thank you very much for following.